Hey everyone, Brandon here with Galway Precision. Today we're going to go over the installation of our newest trigger for the P225-A1 and P239 series of pistols. The namesake for this one is Onyx. We have named this after our shop boxer Onyx, who was recently diagnosed with inoperable lymphoma, and she's been fighting pretty good, but her days are definitely wearing down, but she doesn't let it slow her down. And she still bear dogs like nobody's business, so we figured it'd be a good fitting name for the trigger because, you know, that's going to change your performance very well and goes from bear dog to attack real fast. Alright, so first we're going to go over tools you're going to need. You need your bench block, your 050 Allen wrench, blue Loctite or VC3, either or. You're going to need your 1/8 inch punch, your small flathead screwdriver, which, by the way, we've got a whole bunch of these. I found a company that sells these in quantity, so we're going to be getting a bunch of these with the website on them, but it'll be just like this, small flathead with magnetic end, and I'll do a little video when we get them in and show you how I make my notches for pushing springs, so be on the lookout for that soon. So you'll need your small flathead, you'll need a large flathead, and your brass and polymer hammer. Honestly, we're not going to use most of these, but you never know when you're going to need your hammer or your bench block, because sometimes the trigger pivot pin can be a little tight, and that's the only time we're really going to use the 1/8 inch and the hammer. But we'll go over that regardless, just in case you have one that's a little tight. Alright, so let's go ahead and lock and clear. We're visually and physically empty, so let's drop our mag. We're going to take our slide off. After I hit the decocker and nothing happens, I'll hit the slide lock. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and flip it over to the right side, and we're going to take our large flathead. I'm going to go ahead and remove our grip panel. Now your grip panel is going to have 2 screws on each side, but we're taking this thing apart so much to check different parts that I only put one in on each side. Cuts it down on our time taking it apart, putting it together. And take that off. We're going to take and remove our trigger return spring, set it off to the side. Now we're ready to remove our takedown. Now what you're going to do, notice what I did here. Alright, so you're going to be sitting like that. You're going to actually turn it all the way up and give it a little push on this right side, and it's going to come right on out. Twist it out. You're just working past the takedown spring. Now, unlike the 226 and the 229 with the Enoch, you don't have to decock the pistol to remove the trigger once everything here with the takedown and the springs taken out. It actually works a lot better if you have it cocked, and the locking block will just come right out. Okay. So now that we have that out, we're going to take our 1/8 inch punch and we're going to push our takedown through. Again, if you have one that's a little bit tight, you'll flip your bench block and take your 1/8, and you're not going to beat it. Just give it a tap and it should fall right on out. At that point, we're going to go, since it fell out anyway, once you have the pivot out, you can remove your slide lock, set it off to the side. And now the fun part of this whole thing is getting the trigger bar and trigger to come out. And honestly, all you're going to do is just kind of wiggle it around until it finds its sweet spot and wants to come out. Don't force it. It may take a couple minutes of play to get this thing to the right position to want to come out, but being a single stack, you know, it's a little harder to get. You don't have as much room as we do with the 226 and the 229. The biggest thing is getting it over. There we go. Getting it over your lifter, getting that out of the way of the lifter, and then it'll just come on out. But like I said, it's going to take some wiggling because there's not a lot of room to move around in there. So we're going to take our stock trigger, set it off to the side, put it in our bag of goodies, keep it. Why do we keep it? We always keep our stock parts in case we need to send the pistol in for warranty work. They will remove your aftermarket parts, return it stock, and send it back to you. Always keep your stock parts. Alright, so if you're using blue Loctite, we're going to go ahead and apply a little bit to the pre and post travel screws of the Onyx. Alright, I took the excess off for me, so that was easy. And then I like to put a little drop in there. And I'll take and wipe off the excess front and back, so I've got a nice amount of thread locker in there. And that is the proper way to use thread locker, in case you've never actually read the bottle of Loctite or anything. You're to put it in where you're screwing into and on the screw itself. If you're using VC3, go ahead and apply it and pause the video for about 15 minutes and come on back. It takes about that long for the VC3 to cure properly and actually adhere the way it's supposed to, so that when you're putting it in, you don't get a whole bunch of thread locker balled up on the outside and nothing actually locking the thread in place. So we'll wipe our excess Loctite off and we're ready to go now. So we're going to go ahead and take our trigger bar and get it kind of started, and take the pivot, it goes into the trigger. And we're just going to install the whole thing down in there. Get the trigger bar moved back where it goes, set it in place. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do to keep our trigger bar from moving around a whole lot is we're going to put our trigger return spring back in. You'll notice you have one side that's a 90 and one side with a hook. 90 degrees goes into the frame right there. Hook goes into this cutout right here on the trigger bar. Alright, so now your trigger return spring's installed. We're going to go ahead and put our panel back on so it holds that in place, doesn't pop off, spring out across the way. I got that back on. Alright, now I like to take my bench block and just kind of stand it so I can see what I'm doing. Alright, so now we're going to take our slide lock, go ahead and put it back in place. We're going to take our trigger pivot pin to go through the slide lock and the trigger itself. Okay, you want the fat cut, the wider cut goes to the right, with the side that looks like it's got a cut in it for a screwdriver, which that's what it is. It's so you can move it around if you need to. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. We're going to bring our trigger up to the right level, get it through the pivot hole, and it should sit about, you'll be seeing like that. And you want this slot at an upward angle, because that puts the arms up for the flat cutouts on your slide or on your locking block. Let's go ahead and get that started, and it should just drop right on into place like that. Once it does, it will automatically turn this. Don't worry when this turns. It's meant to turn back down once everything's locked up in place. And actually, when you go to take it out, notice it turns to the correct angle so you can pull it out. Problem is, once you do that, you gotta finagle, or it'll drop out like that. You gotta finagle it a little bit, get it lined back up, and push it back in. You cannot put this pin in backwards. I mean, physically you can, however, it's not going to go back together because of the way that the cuts are on the locking block. So it's pretty much foolproof when you get to this point. Says the guy who now can't get the locking block in because that's in the way. Alright, so if you get around into that, make sure you're holding your slide lock out of the way. Now we're ready to put our takedown back in. Easiest way, you'll see your cutout here. Start there, turn it, and push at the same time, and it's going to cut on through. And go ahead and get it lined up. You're going to wiggle it as you push, and then you'll hear it click into place on the cutout in the actual takedown. Now, we're ready to go ahead and put the slide back on and set our pre and post travel. Alright, now pre-travel, you're going to be setting to your double action first. Reason being, this is a single double, or double single, correction. Double action on the first pull, single action on every consecutive pull after it fires. If you set it for the single action, you're not going to get it to work in double. So what you want to do is place the weapon in single action, and you're going to turn the pre-travel you're going to school it counterclockwise, alright, and then decock, and you should get the one pull, and then it won't reset again. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cock it again so we can actually get to the pre-travel. We're going to give it 1/4 turn clockwise, decock, there we go. Alright, most of you are going to have about the same tolerance where you're going to have 2 or 3 threads showing. Alright, now we're going to set the post-travel to the single action, because after the first initial shot, it goes to automatically single action. Now, if you have a single action only, you will set the pre and post travel to single action only. Alright, so we're going to start by turning clockwise until the hammer does not fall. Okay, so we're in single action, hammer doesn't fall. We're going to turn it counterclockwise, 1/4 turn at a time, until we get the hammer to fall. Once the hammer falls, you're going to give it one more 1/4 turn counterclockwise, and it's set. Your post-travel set, your pre-travel set, and it has really shortened the length of pull, especially in single action. Engagement, bang, trigger stops, back forward, you're ready to go. And that's it, guys. That's it for it. And of course, function check, you'll hold the trigger to the rear, rack the slide, let it go, you'll hear your single action, bang. Alright, double action, hold the trigger, rack it, decock it, there you go. All the way out for your second trigger pull. Got single action, double action. Single action only. Double action, you will get 2 reset clicks. 1, 2, and it stops. Now, you may have to play with your pre-travel just a little bit while you're testing it, because until the Loctite dries, as you're dry firing, it will allow that thing to move around a little bit until it dries. So if you do what just happened to me, you're holding it, you double action, you go 1, 2, and you don't hear a distinctive click like that, just adjust your pre-travel a little bit. Once she's dry, she's ready to go. And that's it, guys. That's all there is to the Onyx install. Makes for a much shorter pull in both double and single. I really like the single action pull on this. Just, there it is. Boom. Reset, pull. So I think everyone will be very happy with this little trigger. And that's it. So if you guys got any questions, feel free to email me at Tango Echo Charlie Hotel at GallowayPrecision.com. Be sure to follow us here on social media, on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe below. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Gunstreamer, and Vimeo. And as always, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.